How many meetings have you been a part of where you're like, oh my gosh, why am I in this meeting? It is horrible. We've all been a part of those meetings where you left no better off than when you came in. I can remember being part of meetings. We were scheduling meetings to probably schedule more meetings. What are we doing? Unproductive meetings can disengage your team. They can demotivate. They can drain your team. And they can be frustrating to be a part of. But it doesn't have to be that way. Meetings can be fun. They can be productive. They can be motivating and energizing. And that's what we're going to be talking about in today's video. If you're not a fan of business meetings, here's how to make them productive.
Welcome to Growth Amplifiers, where we showcase the best tips, resources, and tools to amplify and scale your business.
First, we're going to talk about 3 of the top reasons meetings fail. Number 1, there is no structure, no facilitation. People just show up, blah, 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 blah. And they just talk about things that are on their mind. And then people are like, okay, how does that relate to me? There's no schedule. And if people don't know where they're going, there's no takeaways. It can be a waste of time, really. Number 2, there's no clear goal coming in what you're trying to achieve. So you can talk about a lot of items. Here's things we need to do. Here are problems. These are things that we said that we're going to do. Let's schedule a meeting to plan this further. Let's not. Let's make productive meetings. If you don't have real discussions, if you're not achieving things in a meeting, then you're going to be wasting everyone's time and energy. Let's avoid that. Number 3, no defined next steps. So if you come into a meeting, you want to meet the minds. You want to connect those minds, and then you want to leave with actionable steps. What can we take away from this meeting that made it beneficial? So what are the next steps that you'll take once you leave that meeting to make it more productive? But you'll never know if you don't define what they are. So what are other reasons you think meetings fail? I'd love to see that in the comments. Now we're going to talk about the top 3 suggestions for productive meetings. And the first one is to follow a format and agenda. Pretty straightforward. If people know, here's the things we're going to cover, why it's valuable to me, why I think it would be beneficial to pay attention, they're more likely to pay attention. Number 2, have a clear objective of what you're looking to accomplish in the meeting. We want it to be meaningful. We want people to leave having gained something from the meeting, learn something, discuss something, work through something. By having goals, by having a plan, by tracking things, you can make sure that you're being more productive. You want to get clear objectives of what you're trying to accomplish in the meeting, and then have someone facilitate to keep you on point. Last but not least, number 3, ensure there are next step actions. Come together, you talk about something, but then make sure that there's clarity on what actions will be taken after you've discussed them. I'm sure you've been a part of meetings where people talked about the things that need to get done, and then they said, all right, good meeting, no plan. Define what those clear actions are, make it clear, schedule them so that you're going to have made real progress in that meeting. If people show up to meetings and they're getting their points across and they're leaving having gained information and they're accomplishing things, meetings can be seen as more productive, they're more engaging, and they're more energizing to the people who are attending. So question for you is, what resource or piece of advice do you have to make them more effective? Love to see that in the comments. The third idea I have for you today is, when you're ending the meeting, asking people to rate the meeting on a scale of 1 to 10. Now, this is very simple, but very effective. I once was facilitating a meeting with the client, and I asked him and his partners to rate the meeting on a scale of 1 to 10 at the end of the meeting. I typically get 9s and 10s pretty much all the meetings that I facilitate. This one, I got a 6 and a 7 and another 6. I was like, whoa, what happened? I thought we were on point. And what the gentleman told me is that he thought some of the suggestions that I had in that meeting weren't really relevant to what he was trying to accomplish. I was giving a lot of stories and examples that were actually trying to help him out with what he was working on, but I didn't connect the dots close enough for him. So he thought I was just telling stories to tell stories. Long story short, by having that feedback, I then could better understand his perspective. In the next meeting I had with him, he gave me a solid 10 because I adapted to his preference. I listened to him. He gave me feedback that I could adapt to. Other clients I may tell stories with all the time, and typically they appreciate them. He had a different opinion. He gave me that feedback. I was able to adapt. If I didn't ask, I wouldn't know. So if you're facilitating a meeting and you don't ask, what are the challenges? What are people not liking? Then you can't improve. By the way, you gotta ask them, rate the meeting on a scale of 1 to 10. And if it's not a 10, what would make it improve to achieve a 10? That's an important part of that exercise. Also, also had another client that I used that technique on, and she was a business advisor, did some bookkeeping stuff, and we had several meetings for a whole quarter of working together. And she gave me all 10s at every meeting. I had this deal with her that I was going to help her make massive progress in our first 90 days. And then if she wanted to, we can continue on working together. When we got to the end of the first 90 days, she said, oh, this has been helpful, but I'm just so busy with so many other things that I'm working on. I don't know if I have the time to fit this in my schedule. And then I was able to show her, look, you rated all the meetings that we've had as a 10, that they were helpful, productive, and really helped you achieve the things that were important to you. Those are your ratings. Are meetings that are always a 10, are they worth discontinuing because you have other things that you got to get done, other things on your to-do list? After thinking about it, she said, I was just getting overwhelmed with some of the other things, but yes, this time is so valuable. It would make sense to continue on working through the challenges together because we make more progress working together, and I do it off in my own bubble. Those are 2 examples of how you can rank meetings, get feedback, and use those scores. Question for you is, what ideas do you have to continually improve meetings and make them more effective? I'd love to see that in the comments. Here's the action item. Define one action you could implement. Think you already host great meetings, poll your team, poll your attendees using the 1 through 10 technique, and then ask, what is one way you can improve? And chances are there's always an opportunity that you can improve. Even if you're a great facilitator, even if you host wonderful meetings, you may get an idea or 2 if you ask. And I want to ask you, what is something that you found valuable in this video? I'd love to hear that. Or if you'd care to share, what is one of the biggest meeting fails that you've ever witnessed? In our next video, I'll be sharing techniques to measure results and spark momentum. So be sure to tune in and keep on amplifying.
To show your support, take a moment to amplify this message by sharing it online. To connect with me or gain more business growth insights, visit www.growthamplifiers.com. Thank you for your support.